Good morning. I'm Peggy Hurson.
I'm Scott Clark.
And I'm Rick Entrop.
And we are coming to you from the coffee shop. It is September 22nd, and we are at Common Ground Coffee and Cupcakes in Renton.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call it Uncommon Ground because there's a restaurant in Chicago called Uncommon Ground that I used to go to all the time that had it was kind of like this. I always thought of it as a very Seattle restaurant because it's like the unwashed hippies behind the counter giving you like the bulgur wheat muffins and like stuff with goat cheese in it.
Oh.
It was really good though.
Did they give you the stink eye too like they do in Seattle?
Oh, for sure. They're like pre-angry.
Why are you ordering? Why don't you just go outside?
How dare you come to my business and spend
You know,
money?
there's a McDonald's down the street. You can go there anytime.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm glad you feel that way about people in Seattle too. I feel like I get this stink eye from every human.
That's part of the charm. I like it. it's like I just and it just makes me be that much more obnoxiously positive towards them. How are you doing today? Let's shake hands. I want to hug you. You know, stuff like that.
Totally. There's a corner right across the street from my boxing gym.
Yep.
That's the QFC on Broadway and Pike. And it is infested with early 20s hippie looking people asking for money for various reasons. I went on Thursday evening and there was at least 30 people and I was like, how many people really spread out? And there's always this one dude who I really like who's this older guy with a big white beard. I don't know what the papers are called here. In Chicago, it's called Streetwise.
Okay.
But do you know the newspapers that homeless people can sell?
Yeah, The Stranger and the Seattle Weekly.
Well, no. I'm talking it's for homeless people. It's like a fundraising program that homeless people can
The
be
Hobo
part
Gazette?
of. Pretty much, yeah. But it's called something and they sell it, and it's like a jobs training program. So the people who sell it are part of some kind of thing. It's almost like organized panhandling in a weird way. But he's always selling them, and he has this little stand thing, and he stands out there, and he's very nice and very unbothering. He doesn't hassle you, and he sees me a million times a day, and so because I walk right by there a ton, and he never even tries to sell the paper to me anymore, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Is it Grit?
Grit?
Grit newspaper. You always see the ads in the back of comic books and Boys Life. You'd sell Grit newspaper and you'd make some money as a kid.
Nice.
With that or mowing the lawn or having a paper out were the only ways to really
Totally
make money before 16.
Yeah, I think it's the hobo version of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So anyway, so that corner has just become just so overrun with people that I'm just please, I don't know. I just want to roll a smoke bomb into it just to disperse people.
Ninja in there.
I really hate it now. Anyway, because the worst is the 22-year-olds who are all sitting in a circle, and one of them has an acoustic guitar that he's trying to tune, and the rest of them are basically just
I've heard the term gutter punk.
Gutter punk?
Gutter
Yeah,
punk.
is that applicable there?
Maybe.
The gutter punks?
I think it's more the
Maybe that was more of a 90s thing.
maybe, but I think that it's the Earth Mother version of that.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
right,
Where they
right.
all have the thrift store bought, but way too put together, long flowy skirts.
They haven't been
kinda
homeless
have-
long. They probably have
No.
places, someplace.
They definitely aren't actually homeless.
They go home.
Yeah.
They do.
They just
Most of them live with their parents. All of the girls have fakey dreads that are kind of half cornrows.
Aren't all apartment dwellers homeless, technically? They don't own land with a home on it, so
It's true.
I'm homeless. Give me money.
Yeah.
It drives me.
When I was growing up, they
crazy.
called that lazy. That's being lazy. You don't want to get a job.
No,
so.
I think that's probably the case. Well, I think there's some kind of they think it's this really bohemian cool thing, and I'm yeah, except that you're just annoying mostly. So
Here's an idea. Be
that's
interesting.
my.
There you go. Yeah.
Or do something.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know. Yeah, that drives me crazy though.
That makes us sound like old fogies a little bit, though.
A little bit. I'm okay with it though, 'cause I'm over the unwashed people in my neighborhood. But the problem with it too is then that you have both the harmless unwashed and the terrifyingly on meth and or mentally ill people who like will randomly lash out at you with, and you'd see them and you're like, oh well, maybe that's just one of the like annoying hippies, and then you're like last night I was walking home from a rehearsal and like there was this guy walking in front of us, and then all of a sudden he like drop kicked like a super big gulp cup full of some kind of liquid that he was carrying. He just like drop kicked it and it just like exploded all over, and I was just like, there you go, that's what we needed on this sidewalk, was a whole bunch of soda everywhere,
stickiness.
And then he was like muttering to himself, and I was like, awesome.
I can
the universe.
kind of spot those people because they tend to vibrate a little bit. They don't really they don't walk normal. They don't sit normally. They twitch and so
that's your evolution telling you that there's an unhealthy person.
Yeah,
totally.
You can see the
100%
crazy exuding from them.
I think that's like our way of like identifying whether a person is safe or not, you know, and I totally think it's evolutionary. Because sometimes I can just see a person from behind and they're not even moving, and I go, yeah, that's not a safe person. And then they'll do something and I'm like, I totally knew that they were crazy. And they weren't even moving, but like you pick up on these like little tiny things. It's
interesting how that happens.
Isn't it? Yeah. It's amazing to me. So I should say from yesterday too, I was going to give you guys my yesterday story. So, yesterday I did not go to work, which is awesome, because I'm a little burnt out on work right now. I actually told my boss that on Friday, which made me feel a lot better, just to be like, I want to punch all of my clients in the face. Like, that's how I feel right now. And she was like, maybe you should take a couple days off.
Cool.
So that sounds like a good plan. Sometimes you do just want to strangle people. Like, it as a social worker especially, I'm just like, I just need a little emotional distance from people who need too much right now.
You definitely have one of those jobs that is emotionally taxing. It's just, it's hard to separate sometimes.
This is true. It's really hard sometimes. And like, weirdly, a mix of, because actually like in the last month, I've had like maybe 10 days where at the end of the day, I was like, today was a really good day. Like, they're really like positive and really like doing good work. But then just as many days where I like wanted to crawl under a table and like hide.
Yeah.
And that weird mix of like both really good and really shitty is difficult to manage.
It's almost, what would they call that? It's almost bipolar in nature.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
You got your highs and your lows. Extreme.
Totally. That's so true. So, but yesterday I didn't have to go to work because I had an 8-hour rehearsal for the Seattle Women's Chorus.
Yay!
8-hour rehearsal. Yeah, it was our like music crunch day. So really it was about like memorizing music and stuff. So we're singing all day and it was just really exhausting. And I had just had 2 other rehearsals because I'm doing this other acting thing with this concert. So I'm both singing and doing these little skits in between things. And so anyway, we had rehearsal for that, and now I have like 10 pages of lines to memorize and a costume to put together, and then I need to memorize my music, even though I've technically given myself permission to not memorize music. Because I was like, you know, if I just stand there like mouth words, I think that'd be okay. Because I kind of have too much to do right now.
Mock lip syncing.
I think I would be okay. As long as I have my lines memorized, that's the part people are going to know whether I'm doing it or not.
You can't really lip sync your own lines.
No. And that'll be fine. I'm good at that. But, so then I got home at like 5 o'clock, and I started cooking some food, and I ate a few little things. But I had chicken on the stove. And I turned the stove off. This is the key element to this story. I was like, the chicken is cooling now. I will eat it in a minute. Fell asleep at like 6:30. Woke up at 6:30 a.m. and was like, I slept all night. And like walked out and I was like, there's still chicken on the stove. And then, TMI, this is my warning, went to the bathroom and I like peed brown. Like, I was not, I know, gross, huh? I was that dehydrated, and I was like, wow, maybe I was sick, maybe I was so just like a wreck. And then now I feel awesome. like extra awesome. Like I could go
You
run
rebooted.
10 miles.
You rebooted,
Totally. And I was up at 6:30, and so I did some sewing before meeting you guys for breakfast. Because when I woke up, I was like, ding! I was like, wow, I feel great. Do, 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 do.
I don't think I've ever peed brown.
No, well, not like true brown, like orangey brown. But you know when you're dehydrated and your pee's like really intense?
I bet
That
in the
was
energy
me.
drinks, peed green.
Green,
before,
oh,
Well,
gross.
vitamins will do that.
Yeah, I've
So,
peed green from vitamins. I usually pee clear because I drink a lot of water.
Asparagus doesn't have a color; it just has a scent. I peed asparagus.
I eat a lot of asparagus and I've never had stinky pee.
It's instant. It's
That's
instant
what
with me.
people say.
Like,
I think I'm impervious to asparagus.
I mean,
absorb it all.
Or maybe I
You filter it.
I poo little asparagus spears, like they reassemble themselves in my stomach.
like corn.
Now we're getting gross. I've peed undigested lettuce before. I mean, not peed. That would be really weird. Food.
They call that a stone, I think, if you peed on lettuce.
Oh my gosh, that would be really upsetting. Just like a whole lettuce leaf. You're like, what?
Perhaps I.
They're like the strainers you put like on the faucets.
That would be so creepy. I know. I want to do an art
Perhaps
piece
it's
about
time
that.
to go visit the doctor.
Yes, perhaps it is.
I'm urinating produce.
Gross. Yeah, so that was my evening, and now I feel awesome. And now I'm like, I just think I've been like hovering under, like almost sick, just feeling like dumpy for a while. So I'm really happy I got.
Yeah.
And today's only Sunday, so I have 2 more days of my weekend. Yes, I have all day today, all day set, Monday, all day set.
My jealousy
Tuesday. I don't know how to
just
say words.
skyrocketed.
I know. And I have this Saturday off too, so I have another 3-day work week.
I like your days off, but I don't think I could do your job because I would quickly join the ranks of the insane.
Would
Because I
you?
don't think I couldn't separate myself.
Yeah. I do an okay job of it. Now I've noticed that I've become the naggy mom. Like I've noticed myself when people come in, I'm just like, why are you doing that? Stop. Go away. And I'm like, and I channel my own mother, and then I go like, oh, this is not good. This is not helpful. But I totally just yell at people.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of. I guess it's a vent for you too, so you get that out as well. But
It is.
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, it can be frustrating, but it has its upsides. Like, I don't have to, the thing I like about it, I don't have to produce anything. Like, to do my job, there's never deadlines. There's never that thing that's like, oh, you have to get this done by this time. It's just like being in life with people. And so whatever comes up, you're like, well, let's work on that. And then if it doesn't work out, you just go on to the next thing.
You gotta also
And,
be like uber reactionary too. It's like what's happening is what you're dealing with. You're not.
oh, totally.
Right. So it's actually like a true in the moment type job. That's
Because when you try to plan things, then suddenly you have a day where, like on Friday, I ended up having to take someone to the hospital for medical reasons because I had all this stuff planned, and then I got there in the morning and I thought he'd had a stroke, and I was like, oh shit, we're going to the hospital, and like called the ambulance, and then all of a sudden everything I was planning on doing that day went away because I was like, well, time to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So it turned out he didn't have a stroke, which was great. But I was like, I saw some signs where I was like, oh, I gotta do this right now.
Was he just having an episode or what?
I'm not sure. I mean, he was dehydrated. Yeah. There was, I don't know what's going on with that. I wish I was a medical doctor. The more like I do this work, the more I wish I had like, even just like nurses training would be helpful. Because there's so much medical involved.
Even first aid.
I do have first aid, but I don't
Like EMT type aid.
Yeah, I feel like I wish I had like just a better knowledge of like medical things, because people come in and tell me stuff and I'm like, you could be dying or fine. I have no idea. So
I remember
yeah.
you wanted to get into that before you went to University of Nevada, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You were going for like what, brain surgery too, right?
Well, I wanted to do something surgical because I really like dissecting things. and I did anatomy classes my freshman year and thought it was super, super fun.
Right.
But then I got distracted by other things, and you know.
Oh, sure. You can't do everything.
Dissection
No.
is taking apart, but you put it back together. After
I know
you take it apart.
that's the trick. But I took a ton of biology and anatomy classes my freshman year, and then kind of realized how much school was involved and how competitive it was, and was like, I don't know if I'm that excited about it, but it is really interesting to me. And I have a lot of friends who now I've known who've gone to medical school, and I kind of go, like hearing their stories, I'm like, nah, I don't know if I have that in me, because they like, I have never seen people work harder in my whole life. Like, it's really intense.
Yeah, they insane hours.
Oh my gosh.
They almost live at hospitals when they're interning on.
Totally.
Speaking of dissections, I actually got to get a really good look at my MRI.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, interesting because it looked like ham.
Huh.
It looked like
And it was your MRI of your neck?
yeah.
Okay.
It looked like a bone in ham. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. The guy goes like, you're the first person that's ever put it in that term. We call it the yolk in the egg because it's the spinal column.
Okay.
And then I said, oh yeah, well I think about food a lot, so it looks like ham to me. One thing you never really want to hear when you got the technician or the doctor sitting next to you going, hey, tell me about what this means and what that means and where the spine is actually being by the spinal cord is being compressed by by not 2 but 3 vertebral discs, and he says he's telling me and this oh my what's that? He goes this like that, and I go what? He goes I didn't notice that before, and I said honestly I was freaking out. He goes
You're a medical phenomenon.
right, that's I didn't know what that. He goes well, maybe that's a tear. We'll have to look at that. We'll have to look. And he was actually his eyes got big, and it wasn't that big of a spot. It just to me just like another piece of the ham.
Yeah.
Right.
But to him, he's like, this is not what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, so I'm
Chris
like,
will-
that's something
you just
like
cut that off.
yeah,
Just like trim it.
Trim it out.
It's tasty though. If you want to eat it, you can.
You're slow cooking.
Yeah, so my first doctor, who I found out was leaving the practice, he called it bulging disc, which is a lot softer term. That's a less impactful term than herniated disc. This doctor says herniated disc.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so the severity of it went up for me. I was like,
Totally.
and I thought where I was going. This was a whole consultation leading up to the injections. I thought I was getting injections.
Totally.
I was disappointed but happy at the same time.
Are you now going to get them still, or are they
No,
changing the
it's
plan?
still going through the bureaucratic process like Al and I. So it's it is what it is.
Yeah.
But because I will scream and probably faint like a little girl at the sight of needles. So
Oh,
I was
really?
pretty happy that I didn't have to have injections.
I'm with you on the needles. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
Maybe they could gas you a little.
You are
Oh,
when you
really?
do this because it's epidural. They don't want you twitching.
Yeah, totally.
They don't want you to jump while they got things in your spine.
This is smart.
Yeah.
Well,
They
that'll
kind
be
of just
good.
clamp you down real good or something.
Yeah.
Well, one guy sits on my back. The other one's got his feet on my
Kicks you in the
head.
neck. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they-
they're like, you're cured.
Yeah. 2x4.
Nice.
Whack. Tell me if you feel this. Whack. Yeah. So
Well, that sucks.
it's
Oh.
all part of the process.
Sorry that there's a beeping sound. I forgot to turn my ringer off, apparently. I'm doing it now. Go ahead. Sorry.
While I'm thinking about it, I want to just give a little explanation or a little talk about this the coffee shop we're in here. the
Oh, yeah,
Common Ground.
totally.
They were late opening up this morning.
We're late.
We were all early.
We were, and I told the owner that we were doing a podcast, and he was really happy about that. And I said, we are going to tell people you were late. But he was quick to say, well, the reason why they were late is that his daughter's car got towed at like 2 a.m. And so they had a late night. So they
They had a story.
yeah. It's kind of a little interesting little place. It got 3.5 stars on Yelp, which isn't great, isn't bad.
Yeah, it's kind of a B-, but I mean, they were a little slow, but it seems like they're not the usual morning crew, and
No.
so I mean, that
I'm
surprises me because
assuming-
it's a really cute location.
It's a
Like,
good
it's
location.
very kind of like almost like old school coffee house.
Yeah.
Definitely kind of a middle of downtown sort of feel, but downtown Renton.
Right, downtown Renton. Well, this part of town's kind of cute too because they've got like it seems like it's all antique stores.
Oh yeah.
Renton is going through there's a lot of open real estate though.
Yeah. Is that decline or is it
I don't know.
Stable?
Well, they got Jet City Coffee down the way.
Oh, I know, right?
Tried to walk there.
Yeah, they weren't open, so we were like, "Well, let's go check out Jet City Coffee."
I want to send a little note to Yelp. Let people know when things are out of. Take it off. Don't. It's still listed on Yelp. So
It's kind of looking a little Detroit-ish down the way there.
It does. It's like Scott was like, "This is like an old place, like antique, but with rust." And we turn the corner and it's like a burned out building.
It's actually an old gas station.
It looks like that.
So
it had the garage door kind of.
It's most definitely not occupied.
The no trespassing sign kind of gave that.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good indicator. We're not open anymore.
It's true. Yeah. So I just wanted to give one plug too, because I already talked a little bit about my concert, that we are actually going to be performing in Renton on October 5th. It's our preview concert. It's only like $10 or $15, which is a good deal for people who might want to come to see the Seattle Women's Chorus, because the tickets tend to be a little expensive, which kind of drives me crazy. But just because I'm like, all of the other performance things I've ever done have been on the $5 to $10 ticket range, so it's been easy for me to like invite friends and like want people to come. When tickets are like the most expensive tickets are like $55, I'm like, well, if you can, I mean, think about it. Just because like to me that's a lot if a person isn't like just interested in going to that kind of a show. But there are the $30 range tickets.
You guys don't get paid to do this, right? You're
no.
Volunteer. So where does this money go?
It goes to Flying House Productions does the Seattle Men's Chorus and Seattle Women's Chorus. Both of those things. Seattle Men's Chorus operates on like a $5 million budget a year, and the Women's Chorus is more along the $500,000 a year line. And they do. It's performance space, rehearsal space, artistic director staff. They also run like a bunch of charities.
Okay.
Like right now they're partnering with an LGBT chorus in China that's like supposedly they've claimed to be the first LGBT chorus in China, and they're totally on the DL. Like they only perform for friends and family in like basements and stuff because people can be fired from their jobs if they find out they're gay. And so they're still super on the down low. But they've been partnering with them to kind of like mentor them, and now we're bringing them out to the gala, which is the Gay and Lesbian Choruses Association, that they have a big conference every 2 years, I think. So like we're sponsoring people from China to come out here to kind of promote that, and then they have a youth program that's the Gay Straight Alliances in high schools around town. They like do activities for them and kind of like helping people, and they did a ton of stuff to get same-sex marriage passed. So they have this whole like charitable political thing that they've got going. So a lot of the money goes toward that. But I think like the vast majority of it is that like today we're performing at Benaroya Hall as part of the Day of Music and costumes and you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's an expense.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And we actually operate at a loss, which I think is crazy. Like our ticket sales don't cover the amount of money that goes into producing the show.
How do you cover
They do fundraising and
Car washes.
Yeah.
They get outside benefactors donating.
Like I think like Alaskan Airlines and Hilton, stuff like that are corporate sponsors.
Because a $500,000 budget, annual budget, isn't that big at all.
No, it's not for a 300-person chorus.
Right.
The men's chorus also performs twice as much as we do, and so they have like. And they do stuff like they did Hairspray in concert, which I went to, which was like so amazingly good. Which was a full, like, with costumes, production with professional actors playing the lead roles. And so it was like a big production. Anyway, it's exciting for me. But, so anybody who wants to go to Renton, it's on October 5th. And then the regular shows start the week of October 18th and the weekend of the 25th. There's 4 performances, and tickets are going. So don't wait till you get them at the door because they often sell out.
Is there a website people can go and pre-order?
There is. It's if you Google Flying House Productions, that's the easiest way to find it, and it has all of the different shows.
Google it.
So Google it. And then Rick wanted to tell us a little bit about your Red Lobster / Olive Garden experiences.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not feeling very good today because of yesterday's meal. We went to Olive Garden, and I don't know. I had the all-you-can-eat noodle
soup salad,
or the noodle bowl,
Never-ending pasta bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I always do the soup salad and breadsticks.
Yeah, well, those are included, so you think for that. Long story short, the sausage does not sit well with me.
Oh, really? Ever, or just this time?
Just this time. I love it normally. But, the skin was really tough and kind of, I don't know. So I don't feel good today. The service was okay, I guess. Long wait. But,
yeah.
But then our anniversary dinner, which was... Yeah.
How many years is it? 13?
Well, we've been together for 13, but married for 8. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, so we went to Red Lobster for it and just did not have a very good experience. Well, I
went to Red Lobster, the last time I went there was maybe a year ago, and I went with our nephew, Christopher, because, our sister Carolyn's family all professes to hate seafood. They all are just we hate seafood. And I have a suspicion that they actually have never had seafood, the kids of that family.
Fish sticks aren't seafood.
No, but they all claim to just blanketly hate seafood. And so Christopher was like, I think I'd like to try seafood. And so we went to Red Lobster, and we got those, sample platters so that he could try a whole bunch of different stuff. And it was, all disgusting. And the whole time I was like, don't judge seafood on this. And he's like, it's not disgusting, and I was like, this is bad seafood, don't, it was all overcooked, it was all kind of flavorless.
Though we are kind of spoiled up here for seafood. There's Salties. Anthony's is okay, Ray's Boathouse is alright. Salties is definitely the best though. Yeah.
I still haven't been to Salties, I'm too poor. I need to get
Just
some
you're
of the
going to spend money for it, but it's definitely good seafood.
Even just small seafood places are great in Seattle, though. I think it's just...
Ivers.
Ivers. Well, and what's the... I always go to this place, which is so dumb, but it's in Pacific Place, and it's a counter with chowder, and supposedly it's a really well-known chowder place. It is life-changing chowder.
Oh, nice.
I got a little deal that was a little cup of chowder and a captain's roll sandwich, just a mini one, right before a movie one day, and I bit into it, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I just after the movie I went back and got a big tub of the chowder to take home. It was
that's
ridiculous.
That's good chowder.
Duke's, I have no idea.
Duke's is a good chowder house too.
It might be.
I have a rule actually. I really don't I'm kind of a snob when it comes to seafood. If it's not on the water, I don't really want to go there.
Really?
There's not a Red Lobster that I've seen on the water. It's usually in every town USA.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a more ghetto seafood place,
I've
been there and it's been
But you're
okay.
paying almost the same price.
It's true. It's not that much cheaper.
I like Anthony's a lot.
I haven't been to the
okay.
Anthony's here.
There's one in Bellevue, and then there's one down Kirkland.
Have you ever been to the Crab Pot?
I haven't. I've heard it's good though.
Man,
Yeah,
it is. When they dump the stuff on your table and you just
They
have to
they don't devein their shrimp. That's what I didn't like about it. It's it's a neat
And their
big
eyes
thing.
are looking at you.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And
So
their eyes are looking at you when you eat them.
well,
Of the shrimp?
yeah, I can't stand non-deveined shrimp.
Wouldn't that be great if you had a shrimp with eyes and then a glass of raw
You know what we
milk?
did when we get the big boil. We didn't have the.
It'd be the grossest
I don't think we got the shrimp on ours. We got the the Northwest, and it's just basically crab, andouille sausage,
Yum.
corn, baby red potatoes. Yeah.
That sounds like a meal to me.
It's expensive,
crabs,
though. It's
crabs
I'm
pretty
sure.
tough to ruin.
Yeah.
I like crab.
For sure.
No.
We had I designated a holiday in the Entrop family that was short-lived, but I think we should bring back
totally
called
Crab
Crab Fest.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean,
Where it was
Yeah.
like, I would
Yeah.
just like declare it Crab Fest,
Yeah.
and then we would go, it's Crab Fest, and we'd make a bunch of crab, and then
Get some crab.
we came up with some impromptu crab carols that were
Yes,
like,
yes.
let's eat crab, let's eat crab, let's eat all the crab.
that's awesome. We used to go down to
So like Festivus, but with crab. Yeah.
we used to go
I
down
think we should
to
bring that back.
Shosho
Yeah,
Bay,
let's do
Shosho Bay in Seattle. Go crabbing right
Oh,
off the
nice.
docks there.
Oh, huh.
We used to do that quite often. Now, as a kid,
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
should
really
do
think
that.
about it.
Right on. Cool.
Well, I know why crabs are there. I mean, they collect at marinas.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. They're poo eaters.
poo eaters
Yeah.
that taste delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
They are magic.
They
They
are.
turn poo into
yummy,
delicious
yummy,
food.
Yeah, delicious food. Yeah.
Maybe that's how Star Trek does it with turning recycled poo into food again.
They have crabs down there.
That's
that
always
eat
been
it.
like a Star Trek sort of debate is how do they just kind of recycle their food, basically.
Yeah, they have the what do you call them? The materializer things.
Yeah,
What are
yeah,
those
they
called?
just, oh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The thingy.
You know the
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
food
and it
appears.
downloads the food.
Sort of, yeah.
The transporter.
But it's in their rooms, and they
Yeah,
just go like,
and they can materialize anything.
yeah, they just materialize whatever you ask.
Replicator.
Replicate. Is it the replicator?
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I
It's
got
totally
it.
the replicator. Wow, I even was watching Star Trek recently, Next Generation, because I'm working on that diorama project.
Nice. Yeah, how's that?
Previously mentioned. I haven't started any of it, but I've been gathering research. I have to do my costume for the show before I can do a diorama. But I also gathered a big stack of newspapers because I think I'm going to do it out of paper mache.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be cool? So I can paper mache sculpt it and then paint it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
I remember
fun.
when the Next Generation first came on air, and it got so much hatred because it
Really?
was. Yeah, it was like people like it's not the real thing, and,
And now
real,
it's the default to me. Like I think of Next Generation as the
how many
standard.
years did that
It
run?
was well done, though. They had
10
good
years,
writing,
yeah.
good actors. The actors you
It was
cared
ran
about.
for how many seasons? Like 10 seasons.
Yeah, a long time.
And the first Star Trek was like what? It
2.5.
barely made it two.
Yeah, totally. It's like 23 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
spin-offs I never really cared for too much either. But
Like Deep Space Nine, Voyager,
I like Voyager.
Enterprise. I
I just couldn't get into them.
I discovered later that I actually have seen, because I always think of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then I watched a little bit of the other ones.
Yeah.
But I think I've actually seen all of them.
All of
Yeah,
them.
I like
Yeah, I think I've seen everything.
I like them all.
Me too. Because the Ferengi don't even really come into play until Deep Space Nine, and I realized I was like, oh, well, I know tons about Ferengi, so
Yeah.
maybe I must have watched all of Deep Space Nine.
they're kind of the Jews of the
That's-
outer space.
Oh, right, yeah. Speaking of sci-fi commentating
Oh, yeah.
commentating on
Are
society.
you guys ready to spoil Elysium?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
let's
they
hear
do.
about it.
Is it okay if we spoil it, Scott?
so
Yeah, because I
spoiler
probably won't see it.
Spoiler.
I'll see it at home.
Okay. I feel like it's the ending isn't. You should still watch it.
Yeah.
But giving away the ending doesn't really.
Not really,
Yeah.
no. But no, the very, very ending, if you want to ruin like the last 5 minutes, which could
Yeah.
have ruined the whole film, yeah.
Right.
But
So, for the listening audience, if you do not want Elysium spoiled,
Right.
stop listening now. Skip ahead about 20 minutes
Right.
because I want to talk about the very last 5 minutes of the movie.
yeah, I guess we don't really know how long it's going to take to spoil and do it.
I know it's true. Okay, so stop now. Ready? Stop.
Yeah,
Okay.
stop.
Okay, so Elysium. The premise of this movie is, so it's the class system. You have the Earth has been overpopulated.
Okay.
So all of the rich people were like, we're out of here because the Earth's resources are stripped. There's no water and food. So we're going to go build Elysium in the sky, which is this big floating wheel. And we're going to live in bliss. And they never really explain how they get resources
Right. Yep.
on Elysium, where all of the poor people are still living on Earth in this, like, to me, a little heavy-handed because everybody speaks Spanish and everyone's Latino, but all like Matt Damon is like the blue-eyed guy for no reason. Never explained.
Yeah.
Only non-Latino
Oh, so-
on Earth.
Well,
Like nobody even says like, how come you have blonde hair and blue eyes? No, he speaks Spanish. It makes no sense.
I don't know.
It would have made sense had the world just been maybe Spanish is now the
They
language,
didn't show
and
the
there are
rest
lots
of the world
different.
either, so they only saw like one kind of
That's
scene's worth
true.
of the.
It was Los Angeles. That's true, and they don't show a lot of other things. Even though for some reason Elysium is only really focused on Los Angeles at this point, at least.
Yeah.
There are a lot of plot holes in this movie. is what I'm
It would
trying
have
to
made a
say.
little more sense if they like flooded the earth and maybe there's one island
Yeah.
left or something like that.
'Cause it
like
really
the
did
polar
feel
caps
like-
melted or
Yeah.
whatnot.
To me, it felt like the LA on Earth was the only Earth spot.
But, right. Yeah. Yeah. And it was just like how in Brazil, how you see the hills that go by where the Jesus statue is.
Totally.
And, how it's all just.
Slums.
The production
Slums,
design was
that
really
everywhere
cool.
you look.
Yeah.
Kind of like District 9, but without the aliens kind of look on the
Yeah,
ground.
really like like blasted out
Yeah.
slums,
Yeah.
like lots of crime, lots of like gang activity kind of things.
Right, totally.
And so Matt Damon is like this kid who grows up in an orphanage, and he like becomes like a factory worker after having this life of crime,
Right,
which
yeah,
he's trying to
he's-
get away from.
Yeah, evidently pretty good at too. of
Right,
course.
he's like the greatest crime
But
kid
he-
in Mexico.
He got caught, so
slash
he's not all
LA.
that great.
I know, it's true.
Well, I don't think he did get caught, did he? Oh, okay.
He had been in jail.
Yeah, he even had
Right,
a
right,
van
right.
from
That's right.
his
That's
ankle.
right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
He
'cause
did.
it was.
Yeah. So then, the real plot comes in. Like, he gets blasted with like
Radiation.
and is going to die because he's been like fatally radiation poisoned. But on Elysium, they have these magic machines that go and cure all of your illnesses.
Pull a cancer out of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Or anything
Anything.
wrong with you,
Yeah.
they fundamentally change your DNA to make you healthy.
And I guess they live a lot longer too, right? Or
That's
they're
right.
not quite immortal, though, are they? I mean, if
That was
if you had a
unclear.
little beep that would rebuild your body,
Yeah.
then, I mean, you could
Even
live
had
forever.
stuff on
couldn't
their
you?
face.
They did it. What was the stuff on the face? I never
Yeah,
figured
they
that
never,
part
well,
out.
Part of it was the identification,
Yeah.
like the raised skin on the forearm.
Because
Was,
William Fichtner had like "rich" printed on the side of
Yeah.
his face. It was very weird, but they didn't really.
They did do a lot of things that they didn't go into or explain. That's for
I
sure.
bet you-
And Jodie
if you
Foster
get the
was
Blu-ray
French for no
edition,
reason.
it will be-
Oh, I hated her
Zero
accent. Her
O's.
accent was that French? I couldn't
She
tell.
was
It
speaking French, but then when she would speak English, like in certain scenes, she's like in
seemed
French,
like a-
and then her
It was like a-
accent when she was speaking English was terrible. It was like,
Yeah, just-
and
she should
Jodie
just talk.
Foster, like it made no sense at all. It was
that-
really bad.
She kind of threw the movie for a little bit for me there.
And she looked so good, which
looked
to
good.
me it was like like her whole look was like so sharp, and then she'd open her mouth and it was
ruin
like,
it.
oh, this is not good.
She
Yeah,
was one of
that-
the bumps in the movie.
Oh, that part of it
I
was
thought
not
she
good.
would, just the way that she looked if she had dark hair would make a good Aeon Flux.
Oh, totally.
Just because whoever did it,
Charlize
Theron
Theron.
did not. I mean, she's not Aeon Flux. She's way too young. Way too.
Yeah.
Aeon Flux is more of a, middle, later aged woman that's got,
Yeah. Huh. I
I
could
never
see
watched that
that.
movie. I tried to watch Aeon Flux.
Oh, the
I fall asleep
cartoon
every
is
time.
great.
Yeah, have you watched the cartoons?
Yeah, I used to
Even
watch
the,
them. I used to
the
watch
liquid
Liquid
television
Television.
ones.
Yeah,
oh,
those
dude,
were so
that's
cool.
the freaking
The
show,
The movie's
man. I love
totally
that show.
a generic action movie. It doesn't even really
I own the
compare.
tapes. I own like the,
Oh, yeah.
the actual cartoons that they made too.
Nice.
Which are good. They're
Yeah.
they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's spun off of that Liquid Television. It's
Yeah,
its own-
yeah. Well, I think the guy that did it, what Liquid Television did was they kind of just gathered up all the cool animation that was happening at the time, and Aeon Flux had
Right.
to be one sort of thing that whoever was doing it kind of made, and
Totally.
it was perfect.
Yeah, I liked it.
So then, back to Elysium. So then it's like, how do we get Matt Damon up to space to fix his radiation becomes the plot,
Yeah.
And through all these different things. The part that I wanted to talk about is the ending.
Yes. Me
Okay,
too.
so we're going to spoil. So the point is, poor people on Earth sucking tons and tons. An unimaginable amount of poor people on Earth with
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
A few rich people up in the sky
With everything.
with everything. Guess what happens? The solution of the story
So they blow up the rich people.
No, they go up and they make everyone a citizen of Elysium, so that everybody can have all of the unlimited resources that the rich people had. And I was like, that does not work.
I'm a little bit unsatisfied about that, actually.
Because then here's what happens when you just, okay, so we have enough for us, and there's a few amount of us, so like us at this table, we have enough food and resources for us, and enough medical care. There are 100,000 other people. We're just going to let them have all our stuff. Then everybody becomes poor, and nobody has anything, and then your whole society collapses. Am I right?
Well,
because I felt like they were like, oh, now we can all be rich and have everything, and then they sent, they sent the medical things to Earth to cure everybody, so that everybody lives for a really long time.
Because it's all mechanically set up, it seems sort of feasible that it could happen, just because it's a program and it won't do anything different.
Right. For the medical care, is that what you're talking about?
Just for the medical care, not for
then everybody gets
style
healed.
of life or everything. Right.
Yeah.
So now all the poor people live longer. Now they tax the environment a little bit longer.
Well, they didn't go beyond.
Just curing their
diseases. Just making everybody citizens. Basically, the movie ends right there. Now my big stink with, and it's a little bit more refined with the ending, but okay, we're gonna spoil another movie, Wall-E. If you haven't seen Wall-E, then spoiler alert, mini spoiler alert.
It's been 8 years.
Okay. Watch Wall-E. But anyway, Wall-E totally takes the crappy ending route where you're going to kill the protagonist, and then you're just going to magically bring him back to life within the same 5 minutes. It's like, come on, if you're going to kill him and bring him back to life, kill him, yay! That's what you want to happen if you're going to set that up. It's like, hey, you got something on your shirt and then hitting your nose.
Totally.
You're just kind of. So, or don't even go there. Don't make it look like he might die, but then don't just magically bring him back to life.
Right.
They magically brought Wall-E back to life.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, okay, they're gonna. When the ending came where he was gonna die, I'm like, okay, are they gonna kill him? Are they really gonna kill him? Are they really gonna kill him? Because he's definitely the protagonist of the story.
For sure.
Right.
You can't. There's no other person once he dies. And they don't actually show you, which I kind of they alluded to.
They show you? I thought they showed you.
No, they alluded to it. They didn't actually. They said there's a human being here that needs to be healed, and they didn't say who it was.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, they didn't.
Weird. I don't.
The Matt Damon, unless there was another version that I saw. I'm sure they have.
No, I must just not have been paying that much attention to that part.
They stopped the movie before you saw whether or not he got healed or not.
Oh, interesting.
So he didn't play that card. I know. It's like, keep him gone. Make that whole sacrifice thing that he did.
Well, because one of the cool sci-fi parts of it is they have this thing where you can download information to your brain.
Yeah, it's just
and so he downloads a reboot for the entire system
kind
of
of a
Elysium
Johnny Mnemonic sort of thing
to his brain. And then in order to...
And he had car parts bolted to him, didn't he?
It's pretty cool. An exoskeleton,
exoskeleton.
which I had some problems with too, because hydraulics somehow make you superhuman.
Right.
And there was zero recovery time for having... There were a lot of Latinos doing cliche things in this movie. But I thought it was a cool device. Like, it had a really fun sci-fi action-y element to it.
Totally.
But then at the end... So then he, in order to download the program, which makes everybody citizens of Elysium, it corrupts his brain, and so then he has to die.
Right.
And
so does he sacrifice himself for the
and he
good?
does, which is really moving and beautiful. But I thought he died. I didn't catch the part where
they show him dying, and then they show one of those unit things going. Oh, there's someone in need of medical assistance, and then you never see him again. I think they show a few more things.
Okay.
And then they end it. So he doesn't actually Wall-E. I know.
If
I know.
they did that, I'm pissed because that's a total cop-out.
It is. Kill the sucker. You
Totally.
know, why not? You know, it's
and that's
a good place to end the movie then too.
They leave it open for it's also a sequel.
Right.
I know, which I hope they don't do.
No, he won't. I think they're smarter than that with it. But
that director is really good.
Yeah.
But did you enjoy having the bad guy be the protagonist from District 9?
Right.
Did you even pick up on that? Okay.
He must have got on steroids or something, because I didn't realize
he was
He looked totally
the
different.
guy that actually got the alien DNA?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
he plays
I
this
thought that
crazy, psychotic, like
Australian.
renegade, soldier of fortune character
Yeah, totally.
in
He's
Elysium.
really buffed, and
Really-
he's got like these neat
Kind of Mad Max.
things on his head, and kind of
totally.
like mechanical things, sort of give a little cyborg sort of ness to him.
like
Cool.
he's been rebuilt a few
Yeah,
times,
yeah,
kind of a
right.
thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's awesome in that movie, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was him until like his maybe his second or third scene, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's cool.
I had an assumption, but physically he did not look
Yeah.
the same at all because he was
He was
ripped.
a little bit. He was a beanpole. In
Totally.
right. No, he put on a lot of muscle
Very
somehow.
shrimpy.
That's
Yeah.
steroids.
Yeah, totally.
Plus, it's been a few years since District 9. He's had time to work out.
Yeah. But then, production-wise, I thought, I dig this director. It was visually
it
cool.
was majestic.
I like
yeah.
his, social stories. I dig that.
Right.
But I just, to me, it was so pie in the sky, whereas District 9 was kind of it seemed more like it just brought up some issues with our society.
Oh,
but
yeah,
to me,
yeah.
then, this movie expanded our problems as a world where we have super rich and super poor, and we're kind of trying to work it out to a level that's totally unrealistic, where it's if that is the level, if the survival of Earth depends on people are literally killing themselves and Earth, that solution to me is so not completely nonsensical that at that point then I go, oh well, then we should all
Just leave now.
burn the poor people because we were screwed anyway. Which I'm a poor person, so I'd burn myself. But bringing it to that level makes it seem oh yeah, Ayn Rand totally had it right. We should, I don't know. It just the absurdism didn't prove their point, which they were saying, oh no, we really need to bond together as society, and the rich need to help the poor. But their allegory of that, to me, I came out of it going, oh, screw that, man. I would have been up in Elysium going, oh, you guys can't come up here?
Yeah.
We're trying to save humanity here. We're the Noah's Ark. You guys are left on Earth.
Right. We're waiting for you to die off so we got seeds and stuff up here. We can
I know,
They were pretty blatant with the kind of the parallels to when they beat up Matt Damon for no reason. It's Matt Damon was suddenly the, because the robot guard sort of police beings, they totally he made some little comment and they just started beating the snot out of him.
Yeah.
It's well, that's kind of a blatant.
you mean
the rich
LAPD
people.
hello?
Yeah, exactly.
And the rich people weren't only rich; they were also morally bankrupt, corrupt, horrible people stealing all the resources from Earth. And that was a little weird too, and didn't make any sense that they had to go to Earth to get resources for Elysium, and so maybe the explanation at the beginning was faulty. It wasn't that Earth had no resources; it was that rich people were we're just going to take our shit
It's also faulty
elsewhere.
not to show why the motivation behind the protagonists or the evil characters. It's sort of they're just rich,
They're bad.
bad people
Yeah.
that just want to screw
Because.
everybody, and there's no because evil people, even especially in storytelling, don't believe that what they're doing is evil. They
Totally.
have some sort of moral reason or justification for their crappy behavior.
Yeah.
Regardless of
Or
what it
if
is,
they
there's still
don't,
something.
I always call it mustache twisty.
Yeah.
They're the people tying the girl up on
yeah.
the train tracks and
Right,
twisting their
right, right.
mustache.
Snipe
Yeah.
you with lash.
Evil for no reason.
Right.
But Jodie Foster, I thought, had a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But she still seemed, because she at one point was if you have people on your doorstep, she's talking to, she's
When
the
you
heartless
are-
person
right,
who's she's talking to the president, who's kind of you can't just murder citizens of Earth, and she's well, when they're showing up at your door and trying to, take your children's home and what you've built, you will sing a different tune, kind of a thing.
Right.
But that was just a little kernel. She needed, because she was
yeah.
so evil,
Yeah.
she needed a way
And
bigger.
almost this should have been a really good miniseries instead.
Yeah.
We could really actually get into those kinds of things. But it was definitely A Few Good Men, where you can't handle the truth moment.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah. Anyway, so there's Elysium, but then
Also, one more critique I had of Elysium was that they weren't consistent with the technology. It seemed it's they were going way huge into the future with some stuff, and
Yes.
and maybe 10 years into the future with something else. And it didn't seem like a very cohesive. It was just sort of a conglomerate of ideas. So like Back to the Future, when they went to the future, it was like, you know, they have flying cars, but they still do this. And actually, I think Back to the Future might have been a little bit better as far as thinking things through about what would really.
Right, because if
if
you have a machine that runs a light over you and you're healed, hydraulics are not. His exoskeleton was straight up those things at the top of doors that keep them from like closing.
Right.
Which like part of that was also like there was on Earth was sort of the ramshackle version of things, but
so
still it was
almost like steampunk almost.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which would have been cool.
Yeah, he was like kicking ass with robots with this exoskeleton, so it was like supposedly the
and
like
why aren't more
strongest.
people like that within that?
Yeah, why would
like
everyone
they have
one?
Just one, they would be like a superhero or something. Then if he was the only one that had that technology or whatever.
There were a lot of problems. But again, I liked it.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to talk about it so bad, was because after I saw it, I went home and I was just like, I'm so upset about this movie. Like, everything frustrated me and it was awesome. And I need to, like, get it all out.
Oh, and then also they hinted at explosions, but like when that ship was flying in, and they showed the explosions, you wouldn't hear it. And maybe within their little gravitational thing, because they would actually have an atmosphere and air molecules to actually move the sound. But if there's an explosion that happens in space, there's no vibrations to pick that up. You don't hear it. So,
which, by the way, speaking of
that's
this,
why I like Battlestar Galactica.
Nice.
Nice. Have you guys seen the preview for the movie coming out? Which is Cuarón directed it. It's called Gravity with Sandra Bullock, where the preview is them falling in space.
They're out there. They're on a space station.
Right.
I don't know if because the first time I saw it, so Sandra Bullock is like tumbling through space. I'm thinking like, why is she moving like she's falling, but it's in space? And my dad brain turns on, which our dad, like, notoriously in movies would be like, spaceships wouldn't turn like that, because space doesn't have gravity, so it wouldn't bank when it turns. And like, I'm like, thanks, Dad. Like he had to like point out every dumb little physics thing. But so that's me. I'm like, you would not be falling like that if it was space. But then the title of the movie is Gravity, and so then I go, oh, maybe that's the point. Maybe some weird gravitational change happens, and then space starts falling toward Earth or something. But it just looks cool to me. Like, when I saw that preview, I was like, oh, Alexander Cuarón, huh? This might be really good. So I'm excited about it now. Because Cuarón did the third Harry Potter, which is the best one. And he did, oh my gosh, now, is it? No, it's not Pan's Labyrinth. I'm trying to think of which movies he's done. He does really interesting, really visual.
Spider Chronicles or something?
I don't know. Maybe he's the one who did, I'll have to look it up because I want to say he's one. I think he did. No, he didn't do Old Boy. That was a Japanese guy, right?
I think so.
He's from Spain, and he does these really great movies. Anyway, I dig him, and I'm excited about that movie. And it being Sandra Bullock is really crazy to me, because then I'm like, this looks interesting.
Yeah, she hasn't been relevant for a couple of years, so it's kind of interesting to see her come back.
I know.
Yeah, not since
Blindside.
What's his guy left her? What's his name?
Oh, Jesse James.
Yeah,
totally. Creepy. Oh, she was in The Heat, which I still haven't seen. She does movies like every other year. Every year, pretty much.
The Heat was good, yeah.
I've heard it's really funny. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
I like what's the girl's name? Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, man,
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, she's hilarious. We actually saw it at the drive-in of all places.
That's right. You told me that.
Yeah. There's actually a really good one in Bremerton called the Rodeo. I will plug this place all day long. Digital projection, which is really good. So because in the drive-ins you need it to be really dark.
Yeah.
We went and saw, what was that? The robot movie, the dinosaurs and the aliens and robot. Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim. I still haven't seen that.
It's actually really good.
I know. This summer, I'm telling you, I missed some movies and got backed up, and
being digital projection, it's very bright, very crisp,
Cool.
and it broadcasts over the FM band. So if the better the radio you have, the better, yeah. So the sound quality is really good, and crisp, and they have a decent snack bar.
Nice.
And it's not overpriced. It's priced up, but it's not overpriced. Like you like a $10 bucket of popcorn now. It's not like that. It's good.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I also saw the other movie, The Way Back, which was written and directed by the same person who directed Little Miss Sunshine and Sunshine Cleaners, which I would say Little Miss Sunshine is like a 9. Sunshine Cleaners is like a 4. And Way Back is like an 8.5.
Okay.
It's like really good. The same kind of storytelling, kind of hipstery. Steve Carell plays the dick stepdad. And it's the story of the little boy who's like super depressed. And his mom and her boyfriend drag him to the Hamptons for the summer. And then he ends up taking like a part-time job with Sam Rockwell, who is the burnout who owns the local water park.
Nice.
And so it's like Maya Rudolph is his girlfriend, and they like it's kind of takes place out of time. Like you kind of get the sense it's like the 80s, but it's modern. It's this really weird. I loved it though. I thought it was fantastic. And so he then ends up hanging out at the water park and just kind of like figures out his shit. This little like 14-year-old boy, and gets some self-confidence and like. It has a crush on the girl next door, and it's really like Allison Janney's in it, and she's hysterical. She plays like the super drunk, like slutty neighbor, and it's really funny. So I highly recommend it, even though it's really like typical of like what's going to happen in that movie. Like you're like, oh, of course, but it's cute and funny.
It's a feel-good
and,
movie.
Oh, big time.
it
Made me a little misty.
The Way Back?
The Way Back, which refers to the very, very, very back seat of a station wagon.
Oh, nice.
It's not the back, it's the way back.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Exactly, which has kind of a key metaphor in the movie. It's always where the kid sits, and he's always staring out the back window. It's really cute.
I remember as a kid, we would always stand up in the back seat. Anywhere we went, it would just stand it up, kind of cruise around.
It's so.
I don't know why.
I was actually just thinking about that. All the laws that we have to keep us safe.
Yeah.
And they're just within the last 20 to 25 years, all these laws, seatbelt laws, and helmet laws, for
want
kids
to
on the
dictate behavior,
right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I ever saw a bicycle helmet when I was a kid.
Oh, no way.
And I survived.
Yeah.
I'm still here to tell the tale. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like, there's a certain amount of risk in life, and taking it all away isn't necessarily that positive of a thing, even though then you go, oh, well, there were kids. Like, we even had a friend growing up that got hit on a bicycle and died. And, like, do you remember Tom's friend?
Yeah. Actually, I do. Yeah.
That was, like, my first experience with death, which I think his name was Scott.
Sounds
Was
right.
it Scott?
Yeah.
Not you, obviously.
Yeah,
You're not dead. But he was in a play with us, and with me, actually, and then he died, and then Tom had to take over. It was the Safety Kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were doing the Safety Kids play when I was in, like, 4th grade or
That's
3rd
a little
grade or
ironic,
whatever.
though, actually.
I know, it was really sad. And so stuff like that happens, and you go, oh, well, it's good that, you do all this stuff to keep you safe, because that sucks, and you don't want that to happen to anybody. But, like, there's no way to take away all of the risk in life,
Right.
It's like, it's an illusion.
I actually had a kid I went to
Because
school
he
with.
would have died whether he had a helmet on or not, because it
Right.
was
You get
more
hit.
severe than that. It was,
Body versus car win.
So, big question right before we end the podcast.
Yeah.
Do you believe in fate then?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
believe things are predetermined, but I also don't think you can control the future.
Okay.
So I both believe that there's risk to life and that it's not predetermined.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
I
No.
think those are two different issues.
Okay. Sure. What about you, Scott? Do you believe in fate?
I don't know. Sometimes it's like things line up. Like I think if you put you make yourself aware of things that are happening, you can kind of line things up a little bit better.
Okay.
But instead of walking through life with your eyes closed, because you'll tend to step in stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's happy coincidences everywhere, like how people run into each other, and it's kind of just because of the way your thought process works, and it helps you line you up with those coincidences.
Right. Okay.
So in a way, yes and no. Yeah.
Right.
Because oh, sorry. Were you going to give your answer?
No, I actually don't have one, but so you're saying life's more like if you take a fortune cookie or read a horoscope, you're going to find the coincidences then anyway. That's sort of what I think.
It's almost like when you put your mind into, like, it's almost like they call it the reticular activator. When you focus on certain things, those things tend to materialize much more. With much more frequency and a lot more apparent. And then,
that's true.
like when you buy a car, you buy it, and then all of a sudden you see your same car everywhere.
Right, but that's the confirmation bias.
Right.
I don't think you then produce. I don't think through buying that car, more cars exist in the external world.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there is a chaos theory there as well, because it's things can.
I think that everything has a cause, and so when you look at life in retrospect, you can see the causes for all of the things that have happened.
Right.
And then that leads your mind to say, oh, the reason this happened is that cause.
Okay.
But that is looking at life in reverse.
Sure, which is...
And so it's easy to go, oh, well, this had to happen because this happened before it, and then that had to happen because that happened before it. But I don't think you can do that forward. Do you know what I mean?
So it's like looking at a painting, you can see all the little brush strokes that made it,
right.
but you can't look at a blank canvas and go, this is going to be that.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, that's how I think of it.
Maybe.
And so, to me, I don't think you can then, I don't think through, like, focusing on certain things you can make them appear
Manifest
in your future.
life, right?
Yeah.
Like we have
I kind of feel like we're also echoes of our previous thoughts. You know what I mean? It's like when you pay attention, like, and you're really thinking like, oh, life's shitty.
Oh,
and
for
life
sure.
sucks. It just becomes, that's what it is. That your thoughts are reality.
Well,
and then if
and
you,
just
totally.
and what you were talking about earlier, where you can kind of sense someone's aura before, or was that even on the podcast? Or
Yeah, we were talking about that, how
So-
you can see, like, the back of a person and
Right.
go, oh, there's something not okay about that
Right,
person.
so if even amongst relationships of ourselves, if we can kind of get a sense of people, more than just what we can see and hear, then that would affect sort of your life anyway. I mean, if because life's a lot about our relationships and how we coexist with people. If you're
It's all
giving
little-
off a negative sort
it's
of...
all a little metaphysical, I think.
Maybe, but I don't think it's beyond what you can see and hear. I think you're seeing and hearing things that you pick up on. I don't think there's a third thing.
Oh, it's just all the subtle nuances of
I think
everything.
I think
Okay.
you just have a brain that picks up on more things than you can go,
So
oh, well,
like
I'm
if
looking
you
at
throw
that
a
person.
ball and then
and
catch it,
Yeah.
there's so many little things that just happen because that's
Right.
what you're...
Or you think of a pitch, you just think of it in your head, and then you open your mouth to sing, and that pitch comes out. There's things going on in your vocal cords connected to a
Right.
thought, like you think of a tone, and then you can create that tone that you're not consciously in control of. Does that make any sense? Anyway,
Well,
that's how I think of it. That there's stuff that's going on, but it is still, I think it's just, it is physical
you ever
senses.
you ever
It's
listen to
seeing
Deepak
someone,
Chopra?
hearing
Oh, yeah.
someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
like
good.
that guy. It's I think he describes it. It's not as strange as you think. It's stranger than you can think.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah, that's the way I think about it. It's almost like a chasing a tail type of thing.
Right.
You know, you can go round and round and round on it. You're never, everything's, to you is true, and to me is true, that the way you think about it. And I think everybody has their own perception.
That's the only
about
way it can, because you have, that's just it. It's
Right,
your
yeah.
perception.
on
Yeah,
it,
it's your
yeah.
subjective experience of it. So.
Totally, and if you spend enough time with people with psychotic disorders, it makes you very acutely aware of that.
Puts it all
Whereas
into
seriously,
perspective.
I know. Well, someone is like one person that I work with was like asking me. He thinks the world is going to end, and he was like, "What do you think?" And I go, "Yeah, I don't think it's going to end. If it was, how would you know?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I was like, well, say it does end. Shouldn't you just be a nice person today? And he was like, I think so. And I was like, well, then why don't you start there? Just go do something nice for someone else.
Yeah.
And if the world ends, at least you were nice up until it ended. And he was like, okay.
Yeah, live
like,
as if, you know.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, well,
Carpe
the
diem.
world could end, or you could have a heart attack, or you could live for another 100 years. Either way, if you're a good person and nice to people, who cares? And he was like, all right. I'm like, well,
and-
maybe I fixed it for him today. tomorrow he'll be like, "Do you think the world's gonna end?" I'm like, "No, I don't. Shut up. Go away."
Yeah. If it does, who
My
cares?
normal response.
It's done. That's
I know. I'm like,
you gonna do if
good
it does?
for us then.
Well, actually, the world ends and starts every single moment. So
I guess so.
What can you
Yeah.
do?
There's only now, right?
exactly.
Totally. It's true. Well, I think that's a good place to stop on a little bit of the deep thoughts about
we go.
life.
Yeah.
I love deep thoughts about
Yeah,
life.
got it.
We'll do a
That's how
deep
I spend
thoughts
all of
episode
my
too,
life.
coming up here.
That would be cool.
All deep thoughts.
That would be nice. I have so many. This is like half of my life is just sitting around thinking about like.
Definitely have to
What?
have some enhancements for that one though. something besides caffeine.
Shrooms and metaphysics
There we go.
on the next podcast. No, but what is happening on the next podcast is we are going to view.
Dun.
We are going to watch Star Wars: A New Hope,
Yeah.
the original, in my opinion. Which,
Yes.
when you say the
Oh,
original,
it's-
is it the original?
For sure, yeah.
Even
Because
though-
they have
does
to
that
call the
confuse
prequels.
people?
I mean, that's why
So
why
annoying.
the word was there.
Yes.
So
No, I don't have
Episode 4.
technically the original. I have the molested version where
Okay.
they add
we have
Java.
the
That's
original
okay.
VHS.
We don't. We don't have a VHS player.
A, I think you can probably find it on Project Free TV.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
B, you can watch whatever version, if it's
Okay.
remastered, whatever.
Boy,
Because
they
then
really
it might
jar
be
the movie,
interesting.
though.
Yeah,
I'd hate to, like, if I was a kid nowadays and watched the new Star Wars, I'd be like, what are they doing?
totally.
You know, this isn't even the same movie. What?
Whatever version you have access to, excuse me,
Yeah,
we'll watch that. And then next week we're going to spend the whole episode talking Star Wars: A New Hope. Hopefully, I'm hoping to come to it with fresh eyes because I haven't watched it in maybe a year.
I could
and
watch it and not turn anything on. I've seen it so many times.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I, like, the last few times I've watched it, I think I was watching it while I was doing other things, so I wasn't, like, sitting and watching. So this time I plan on just sitting and watching and having a notebook and, like, maybe just taking a few notes of parts that stand out to me watching it after this time.
How has it become fresh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it'll be sort of, like, almost like watching it for school, in a way.
Nice.
Yeah.
See if it holds up.
Yep. So we're going to do that, and then hopefully over the next couple, however long we decide to do it, we'll try to do all the 3 original Star Warses, and just
Nice.
Star
if
Wars
it's
is-
fun, Star Wars is.
Well, hopefully, I think they slated the 7th movie for the 2015. I think,
Oh,
right?
really?
I've heard that.
I didn't hear there was a date.
Summer 15.
I
Because
hope Disney
it's supposed to
doesn't
be
fuck
the
it
new.
up. I really hope.
I know. It'll be okay either way. It'll be
know
for
what, yeah.
13-year-old boys.
It'll
Yes,
be
exactly.
New
You know.
Hope for Star Wars
Yeah.
fans.
I just honestly, and we can talk about this more next week.
Well,
I really hope they don't
I just
milk
want-
the let's bring Princess Leia and Han Solo back too much because Carrie, what's her face,
They do in the stories.
is a crazy person, and like she was
Oh,
on the
Carrie Fisher?
Roseanne Barr
Oh,
roast,
no.
and
The
she
real ones?
was
No, you can't do that.
terrifying. No, I have heard though that Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher are making, and I hope if they do,
Maybe if it was
it's
Star
like
Wars 23.
it's like in hologram thing, and they're just like waving from the Dagobah
That
because
sucks. So they're not even
they
gonna.
are fucking crazy now, and I don't want to see them anymore, and I'm okay with just letting Princess Leia exist in the past.
Right. They need to
Because
be in the actors' old folks' home.
Carrie Fisher is.
They need
You
to
need to
continue
watch
that
the
story,
Roseanne
though.
Barr roast because Carrie Fisher is
Magically.
fucking crazy,
Magically.
magically crazy,
Then get
like
someone who can do the job.
extraordinarily crazy. She's your mom's super crazy friend, the one that you're like, oh no, why is she over here?
Way too many drugs.
Way too many drugs. So I
can
would
think of
prefer if
someone.
she existed as the Princess Leia in the past. So, anyway, we'll talk about Star Wars next week. Yay! So, thank you for listening. Tell a friend. Come see the Seattle Women's Chorus Halloween concert, which is called Hallows in the Cathedral. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Huzzah!
Huzzah.